Slap me. Go ahead.
You go turn the other cheek.
I'm giving you an opportunity.
No. October 1989, Ohio State University. A crowd of 400 students forms a tight circle on the grass. In the center stands Cliffe and Knechtle, a young evangelical apologist with a fresh seminary degree. There are no microphones, no political signs, just an oversized gray sport coat hanging loosely on his athletic frame. For 3 hours, secular students hurl historical objections directly at him. Instead of shouting back, he remains completely still. He simply listens. This was the classic architecture of street apologetics. It demanded physical presence and local accountability. Now, skip forward to the year 2026. The Grassy Quad no longer holds a monopoly on public discourse. Cliffe is now flanked by his son, Stuart, who brings a graduate degree in mental health counseling to the pavement. Together, they manage a digital empire with over 5 million followers. Now, that raw campus friction is caught on camera. Strategic microcuts compress a 2-hour dialogue into a 20-second TikTok asset, while automated neon captions track every word for maximum retention. Online audiences tune in for quick ideological entertainment. But beneath the viral clips lies a deeper shift, one that exposes exactly how modern technology has fundamentally changed the pursuit of the human soul. The story begins with a European businessman, Emilio Knechtle, left Switzerland in 1946, seeking major success in New York City. The wealth came quickly, and he soon found himself running a major tool company. But a sudden shift in perspective changed everything. He walked away from corporate success to preach full-time. In 1960, when evangelist Billy Graham launched his historic crusade in New York, the team chose Emilio to manage the finances. His corporate acumen paid off. The stadium event raised over $1 million. Back then, legacy media ruled. Church networks relied on newspapers and radio spots to pack massive venues. Emilio mastered this traditional way of gathering a crowd, and his son grew up watching those glory days. But the younger Knechtle would ultimately choose a much wilder, more unpredictable arena.
Your jealousy burned it to the ground.
Well, jealousy's a sin.
So you can tell me about saying that to
evil.
say.
Cliffe inherited his father's fire, but his own character was forged in a far more painful environment. In the mid-1970s, Cliffe played basketball for Davidson College. But there was no glory on the court. He spent his career sitting on the bench, facing daily verbal abuse from an assistant coach. The bitterness began to poison his mind, consuming his focus entirely. Then, one night, Cliffe fell to his knees in prayer. A profound, sudden desire to forgive changed everything. The hostility vanished overnight. Learning to endure that pressure became his ultimate weapon for handling angry crowds. After graduating from Gordon Conwell Theological Seminary in 1979, he found early backing from a student group called InterVarsity. While most speakers published their travel plans, Cliffe adopted a strategy of total anonymity. By keeping his locations hidden, these pop-up events caught campuses off guard. Protesters had no time to organize, forcing everyday students to stop, listen, and engage. Public spaces dictate how we interact. On a college campus, the geometry of a crowd shapes the entire debate. We saw this clearly during a large gathering at Ohio State in 1989. When Cliffe stepped onto the quad, passing students naturally formed a tight, concentric circle. Without electronic speakers, the acoustics required everyone to stand close, leaning in just to hear him speak. Cliffe had to constantly turn his body to address the crowd, a physical movement that created a strange kind of mutual accountability. Face-to-face, screaming insults from a distance became impossible. The environment forced both sides to truly listen. By 1991, this local ministry expanded into a formal nonprofit. They began capturing these raw debates on basic video cameras, distributing physical VHS tapes through mail-order catalogs. By 1996, national cable networks picked them up, turning street-level dialogues into regular television hits. But traditional television had a major limitation. The screen was a one-way street. A new generation was about to rewrite the rules. By 2015, college campuses were shifting rapidly. A new generation of young adults arrived carrying heavy emotional baggage. Cliffe's son, Stuart, noticed the change immediately, and he brought a distinct perspective to the pavement. With graduate degrees in both theology and mental health counseling, Stuart looked past the traditional approach. While older street preachers often treat debates like a legal trial, relying strictly on logic games, Stuart saw a deeper reality. Modern disbelief is rarely just a lack of data. More often, it is driven by personal pain and profound isolation. A rigid scientific objection is frequently just a shield for an emotional wound hidden right beneath the surface. To address this, Stuart introduced a framework he calls the pain behind the doubt, shifting the focus from cold arguments to human heartbreak. Together, the father and son team use this approach to communicate unconditional grace. Doubt away, Stuart often tells skeptical students. In his hands, skepticism becomes an invitation to talk. The simple kindness disarms people, turning public debates into real-time counseling sessions. But this localized shift was about to be projected onto a global, digital stage. It didn't take long for this street-level style to collide with the internet algorithm. Stuart effectively transformed the concrete pavement into a mobile production studio with cameras tracking every reaction. Because long-form debates don't translate well to a phone screen, editors began chopping hours of footage into 20-second clips, adding flashing neon captions to hold your attention. This rapid editing style perfectly feeds the digital appetite for conflict. The real-world impact was massive. During an event at Texas A&M, crowds completely packed Aggie Park, with students climbing trees just to get a view. Online, the traffic exploded. Their official YouTube channel surpassed 950,000 subscribers, while TikTok brought in over 3.5 million followers. Tax filings show total revenues hitting $432,000. Audiences love the fast-paced, high-stakes battles. But this explosive digital success brought a quiet, underlying vulnerability. Online critics quickly began pointing out the limitations of this format. Short-form videos inherently oversimplify deep, complex topics. While Cliffe handles foundational questions about the existence of God quite well, nuanced historical problems are often left out entirely. Skeptics argue that the ministry avoids top-tier academic opponents, choosing instead to focus on unprepared college freshmen, a dynamic that gives the camera an unfair advantage. Winning a rapid-fire shouting match, critics argue, is not the same as genuinely sharing a message of faith. Even some religious scholars take issue with the aggressive nature of the format, claiming it reduces profound theology to a blood sport. And while Stuart's counseling framework attempts to soften the hostility, the algorithm ultimately rewards the loudest friction. The pressure to perform grows with every view, leaving the family at a delicate crossroads where a single misstep could jeopardize decades of hard-earned trust. The journey of the Knechtle family mirrors a broader evolution in human attention. Emilio filled stadiums using print media. Cliffe mastered the raw energy of the campus quad. And Stuart conquered the fast-moving smartphone feed. The delivery mechanisms change, even if the core mission remains focused on pointing people toward faith. Digital battles will always spark intense division, and skeptics will continue to challenge their conclusions. Yet, the viral momentum shows no signs of slowing down. This ministry has successfully transitioned from massive stadiums to tiny screens, but the pavement remains their chosen stage. Only time will tell if this digital empire can truly endure.